Hello, everyone, and welcome to the deep dive from the Seoul Economic Daily. We're here to unpack the big, often complex stories hitting the front page, uh, breaking them down so you get the core information quickly and clearly. And today, wow, we've got some really major shifts happening across the board in Korea. We're talking about a landmark divorce ruling getting overturned, some, well, confusing signals on the U.S.-Korea currency swap front, plus the world's biggest crypto exchange is officially landing in Korea. And finally, a big push from the government to fundamentally change how regulations work. Lots to cover, so let's dive right in. First up, this news about the Choi Tae-won and Noh Soh-young divorce case has sent, well, shockwaves, hasn't it? That massive 1.4 trillion won asset division ruling from the appellate court overturned by the Supreme Court. What's the reasoning behind such a dramatic reversal?
It is dramatic. And yeah, the core issue, like in so many high-profile divorces, boiled down to the contribution to marital assets. The appeals court, as you said, awarded Noh Soh-young that staggering 1.38 trillion won. But the Supreme Court zeroed in on the nature of 30 billion won provided early on by Noh Soh-young's father, former President Roh Tae-woo. That was the key.
Right, that 30 billion won. The appeals court saw it as a contribution, but the Supreme Court has now labeled it a bribe. Is that the crux of it?
Precisely. They defined it as illegal funds stemming from a bribe,
Right.
and based on that, they invoked a principle called unlawful cause payment. Basically, the idea is that funds obtained illegally, funds that violate social order, cannot be legally recognized as a contribution towards marital assets that you can then divide up.
Unlawful cause payment.
Is that
Yeah, that sounds like some serious legal territory. Is it really the first time this principle has been applied to a divorce asset division case?
It is. And that's what makes this ruling so significant. It sends a very strong message, really, beyond just this specific case. The court is essentially saying that you can't use the divorce process to, let's say, legitimize wealth that was originally acquired through illegal or improper means. It's drawing a line in the sand. Illegal wealth gets no legal protection in asset division.
Wow. Okay, so this could really set a new precedent for future cases involving, wealthy families or high-profile figures where the source of funds might be questioned. And I also heard that some of Chairman Choi's SK shares were excluded from the division as well.
That's right. The court looked at shares he had already gifted to relatives or foundations before the marriage effectively broke down. They decided those transfers were part of his regular economic activities, managing business assets, or were already disposed of. You can't really divide assets that, well, don't exist within the marital pool anymore or were dealt with for business reasons before the split.
So the bottom line is that 1.38 trillion won figure is gone. It's wiped clean.
For now, yes. The asset division part goes back to the Seoul High Court for a complete reevaluation, a retrial essentially. The only thing currently confirmed is the 2 billion won alimony payment.
So this legal saga is far from over. We could be watching this unfold for years. Okay, let's shift gears from the courtroom to international finance. There seems to be a lot of confusion swirling around the U.S.-Korea currency swap talks, or maybe just a foreign exchange safety net. We're hearing completely different things, which is concerning. Why is a swap like this so important again?
Well, think of a currency swap as like an emergency credit line between central banks. For Korea, it means the Bank of Korea can quickly get U.S. dollars from the Federal Reserve if needed, especially during times of market stress. It's a crucial tool for stabilizing the exchange rate and ensuring we have enough foreign currencies. It's also a big confidence booster for the economy.
Right, a safety net. But the messages coming out from top officials are really conflicting, almost directly contradicting each other. That can't be good for market confidence. Let's start with the optimistic side first.
Yeah, there was definitely a wave of optimism. Deputy Prime Minister Koo Young-yuntol, speaking to reporters in the U.S., sounded quite confident. He basically said the U.S. was likely to accept Korea's proposal. And then you had Scott Bessent, a former U.S. Treasury official, adding fuel to that fire. He said if he were Fed chair, Korea would already have a swap deal, and even predicted results within 10 days. Very specific.
Okay, so hearing that, you'd naturally assume things are moving forward, maybe even close to finalized. But then, almost immediately after, we heard something totally different from the presidential security chief. What happened there?
Exactly. Presidential Security Chief Wee Sun-rak gave a briefing stating, quite bluntly, that there was no progress on the currency swap issue and advised against having high expectations. It was a complete U-turn in messaging.
That's jarring. Is it just political maneuvering, or is there a real disconnect? Do we know if he meant talks between the Treasury and Bank of Korea or the Fed and Bank of Korea? It's unclear.
That's the problem, the lack of clarity. It's hard to tell if it's strategic posturing or if different parts of the government or maybe different negotiation channels are genuinely stalled or have different views, it certainly creates uncertainty for, well, everyone watching.
So if the traditional swap route is proving difficult, is there talk of an alternative plan?
Yes, it seems they might be exploring a different mechanism if a standard swap isn't on the table. It's being called a one-based investment execution method. The idea, roughly, is that when Korea invests in the U.S., part of the funding would be in dollars, but the rest could be deposited in a won account. The U.S. could then convert that won to dollars as needed for the investment.
Interesting. So not a direct swap, but a way to still create a kind of cushion or facility using existing investment flows. Okay, something to watch. Let's move now to the crypto world. This feels like a potential earthquake for the Korean market. Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, is officially entering the Korean market. This has been brewing for a while, right?
It has. They acquired a majority stake in GoPax, a Korean exchange, back in February 2023, but they've been waiting for the regulatory green light. And now, they've got it. The Financial Intelligence Unit, the FIU, has officially approved the change of executive report.
Okay, change of executive report. Why is that specific administrative step so important? It sounds minor.
It sounds minor, but it's actually the key. Under current rules, approving this change is effectively the regulatory sign-off for Binance to operate GoPax as its Korean base. It means the FIU, after about 2 years of review, is satisfied with Binance taking over and running the show. It's the de facto approval of the acquisition.
Got it. So Binance is officially in. What does this mean for the Korean crypto market, which, let's be honest, is dominated by just 2 players right now?
Yeah, it's heavily concentrated. You've got Upbit with around, 63% market share, and Bithum with about 32%. It's basically a duopoly. Binance coming in is a potential game changer. They aren't just bringing money, they're bringing their massive global user base, over 100 million users, which means huge liquidity. Plus, they have advanced trading technology and years of operational experience worldwide.
So the thinking is they could really shake things up, disrupt the dominance of Upbit and Bithum.
That's the expectation. Many market watchers believe Binance will leverage its global strengths, liquidity, tech, brand recognition to rapidly gain market share here. Force more competition, potentially leading to better services or lower fees for users, and really change the landscape from this duopoly to a more competitive environment.
Definitely one for crypto investors to keep a close eye on. Okay, final topic today. We're hearing about a significant push from the president's office regarding deregulation, a call for a paradigm shift.
That's the language being used, yes. President Lee is urging regulators to move away from a restrictive mindset. The default no unless specifically allowed. A positive list approach. He's pushing for a shift towards an allowance mindset, basically. Assume things are allowed unless there's a specific reason to restrict them. A negative list approach. The catchphrase seems to be move towards making things happen. It's framed as vital for economic revitalization and future industries.
Okay, a fundamental change in approach. Are there specific areas where we're seeing this applied already? Areas that might impact people directly, like healthcare or biotech?
Yes, absolutely. One of the headline items is drastically shortening the review time for new drugs and medical devices. They're aiming for 240 days, which they claim would be the world's fastest.
Wow, 240 days. How are they planning to achieve that?
The plan involves significantly increasing the number of review staff by about 300 people to build up the capacity to handle applications that quickly.
That could really speed up innovation getting to market, especially for smaller companies. Any other examples?
Definitely. There's a push to establish a domestic system for advanced regenerative medicine, specifically mentioning stem cell treatments, so Koreans don't have to travel abroad for therapies. They're also looking at lowering hurdles for renewable energy projects, expanding tax breaks for the culture industry, and significantly relaxing the very old, 40-year-old, regulations on terrestrial TV advertising.
So easing rules across the board. But what about data? Relaxing rules around data use often raises privacy concerns. Is there a plan to manage that risk?
That's a key point. They are simplifying the process for using pseudonymized medical data from deceased individuals, which is valuable for research. But importantly, this push for liberalization is explicitly paired with considering stronger safeguards like punitive damages for data misuse. The message seems to be, we'll allow more, but if you abuse that freedom, the penalties will be severe. It's trying to strike that balance between enabling innovation and managing risk.
Okay, trying to foster growth while keeping guardrails in place. It's a major agenda. All right, so today we've covered the Choi Tae-won divorce ruling reversal, the mixed signals on the U.S.-Korea currency swap, Binance's official entry into the Korean crypto market, and the government's major push for regulatory reform. We'll be back again soon with more breaking news explained. This has been the Deep Dive from the Seoul Economic Daily. Thank you for tuning in.